But I do believe when you're consistent and when you just keep getting better and when you niche down, I hope this is a nugget to somebody. When you're consistent, when you have high quality, you figure it out and you niche down, I swear it will all work out. It will all work out. Keep your reasoning top of mind. And that reasoning can shift. It can shift. It's okay. But you got to be in it for you.
Hey you, welcome to Shades of Content, a show that teaches entrepreneurs how to effectively use content to market their business and stay content while doing it. I'm your host, Patrice, a wife, a mom of 3, and a 15-year public relations and marketing professional who decided to open a brick and mortar content studio 4 years ago. And I honestly haven't looked back since. Join me as I share my experiences and the experiences of other entrepreneurs who, like me, are navigating this maze of owning a business, running a family, and trying to stay sane and healthy while doing it. I'll tell you, it's an amazingly challenging journey, but I honestly wouldn't have it any other way. See you soon.
I think when you stay true to your core and to yourself, you can't go wrong.
Right.
Everything, we always assume that if things aren't taken in on large levels that they're failures, right? But I think the failure is not being authentic to yourself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think anytime you step into your truth, that's the nut. That's the line. That's where you stay in that way. Stay on that path. Never sway out of that, because that's the right way. That's never going to lead you astray. Is you have to stay authentic to yourself, and that way you'll always hear the messages. You'll always, whether it's big or small, whether it's this huge success or maybe 2 people peep it, it's successful because you stayed in alignment with yourself.
Mm-hmm. Welcome back to another episode, the 100th episode of Shades of Content. Oh my God, this is like burn, 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 burn. Oh my God, I'm happy to be here. If you are listening, then you can't see that I have a studio audience. I've always wanted to say that, a live studio audience, because this is literally a studio. It's not a big audience, but it is it's filled with people who mean a lot. Before we press record, everybody kind of went around the room and just talked about our connection. And connections are important. That's not really a part of the show, but every day I move through life, I find some type of relationship, some type of connection that just has these like exponential returns. So with that, welcome back to Shades of Content. We're not filming this on December 9th, but you are hearing this on December 9th, which is my 39th birthday. I know I look 29, but yeah, it's like a blessing. I pray to God that when you guys hear this, I'll be alive and well and celebrating. And it's just, I don't even know if I have the words. You know, it's so interesting. Somebody that has a podcast and you're at 100 episodes and you don't have the words, and I have a script in front of me, but I don't even know if I have the words. This is something that this show, when I say it's all me, I don't mean like I did it by myself. I don't mean that, but this show is Patrice. It's literally what I want to say based on what I'm feeling and what is happening in the world. And it moves in the direction that I want it to move in, right? Because it's not really impacted by big business, customers, branding. Like, it's what I want to do. And I think everybody should have something that is that for them. I don't know what it is. I used to say, when before I even had this space, I used to say, like, we all have something intrinsically in us that we can like sell. And I absolutely still believe that. And I said this a little earlier in our conversation, we all have a voice. And this show has allowed me to know my voice. This show has allowed me to hear my voice. This show has allowed me to love my voice. You know what? I have notes here, but we just gonna kind of go, fuck it, right? We're just gonna move. This show was something that I had thought about for a very long time. Not a very long time. Probably, I have a friend who went to high school. We went to high school together, and he would always say to me, yo, Patrice, you have a voice. People need to hear your voice. Not from a like philosophical, like you have things to say, just like the tone of your voice needs to be heard. It's like it should be on the radio. I'm like, oh, whatever. But deep down inside, I remember being like in elementary school listening to KYS and the Live Squad, and I'd be like, dang, I could do that. Like I would like copy them and pretend like I was the person on the radio. Fast forward, he would say those things and I'd be like, okay, whatever. And then I don't remember the light bulb that went off. Marissa, you might, because I don't remember, but I just remember saying in 2019-ish, I had already had the space. This is what happened, because it's always strategy with me. You know, I'm also just realizing I didn't go into that whole spiel, rate, review, whatever. We just got into it, but that's just it's that vibe, right? I was like, okay, I have this co-work space. We've been open for a year. Nipsey passed away in March. That sent me on a whole, which I've talked about on the show. If you don't know my connection with Nipsey Hussle, then you need to listen, because yeah. So he passed away in March, and I was like, yo, how can we connect these things, right? Vertical integration. Everything needs to be playing off of one another. And then I was like, well, I probably should have a podcast. Like, this is probably the right time to have a podcast. And this was like in around the summer of 2019. And I remember this show was going to be called The Culture Architects. I had a whole Google sheet, because if you know me, you know I love a Google sheet. Y'all know. It's in the drive. It's in the drive. I know I asked Kai to put together a Google sheet. We was on this. I was like, Kai, can you put everything that you purchased where you in a... Ronald asked me to do that. He told me to do that. Anyway, so I had this whole list of names, which I still have. And so this Culture Architects came to me because initially I was going to have conversations with cool people in the music industry. It was going to be the people behind the scenes. So it was going to be like a Dallas Martin, a Rico Love, who have a whole... Put a pin in that, because I got a whole nother story on Rico Love. All the cool conversations. It was going to be Nipsey's brother. Like, all the people behind the scenes that was making the things happen, because in my previous life, that was me, right? For Tobias, for NBA, like, and so I was like, that's going to be the podcast. And then I never did anything. And then I don't know what happened around December of 2019. I don't know, but I was like, we need to launch this podcast. And so Brianna was supposed to be here, but she purchased a home in Richmond. She now lives in Richmond, so she wasn't able to come tonight. Brianna is literally one of my sisters. Used to be my intern, turned into my mentee. Now we're sisters. There's a pattern here. Okay. And so they came and we were sitting in here. Did we have like yellow? I feel like we were in this room. We were in there. Okay. And we just sat and brainstormed this show. And we came up with the name Shades of Content. And we decided that it was going to highlight Black women content creators because, yeah, we in 2022 now. And after George Floyd, people care about Black voices. But in 2019, there was all these content creators that were getting misappropriated, stolen, not getting paid what the white creators who were copying them were getting paid. And I knew that because they were all coming through this space. I'm like, even in 2019, it was some fire influencers coming through camp and creating at camp. Kalana Barfield Brown. I just spent like $300 in Target purchasing things from her line. Not because I'm probably not going to wear it, but it's like, I'm a support. She shot a Crest campaign here off some Soror last minute Hyattsville connection. Like, so the perfect example, they come through here. Marissa, you're literally a New York model. Like, you're in print. You was here first. You know what I'm saying? So I knew that. So we opened the space. We're sitting here and we're having the conversation. And like I said, they came up with the name. We came up with Shades of Content. It made sense. So shades is the shades of brown, right? Black people come in all different shades. And content is what we do. That's how it started. So we had that meeting in January of 2019. And then in March, I already knew March 19 was going to be the launch date because that's RJ's birthday. I was like, March 19 is RJ's birthday. Camp's anniversary is March 24. So I was like, let's just keep this thing all together, right? Work smarter, not harder. I say that all the time. And so we figured it out. I created the logo on Canva. I did all that myself, right? Because when you don't have the budget, you just make it happen if it's something you want to do. And then the pandemic happened. And I was like, well, we got to still go. Like we had already recorded 3 episodes. Shawnee's, it was what it was. And so we released, and then the show was every 2 weeks. So for 2 years, every 2 weeks we would record. But I remember very distinctly being after about a year, I was just like, this is dumb. Why am I doing this? And I remember my assistant at the time, Courtney, she could tell. She was like, you're not into it anymore. But I kept going. And so fast forward to the end of 2021. And at this point, I've found the Social Proof podcast. I found Poor Minds. I found Good Moms, Bad Choices. My holy freaking, not trifecta, it's actually 5 of them that I live by. And I find new ones every day, but there's certain shows that just rip me. And I found them and I said, we have to change this. So I took it upon myself to revamp this entire thing in 2 weeks. The logo changed. When you see shades, you see different colors of brown. Then you see content, but it's the phonetic spelling of content, because I realized as a mompreneur with a bunch of kids and a family and all the things that I do, I really actually need to be content. And I knew that everybody else in my network, them other moms, the Kais, the Dannys, like, we needed that. Like, we're fucking feeling crazy. And we need somebody to teach us how to do this content for our business, because we're the only people doing it. We can't afford nobody else because we still got a whole nother job. But we also need to know that it's okay to, like, take a break. And so that's how this show morphed into what it is today. And I'm just so happy that I've been okay with changing, right? I think we get so hell bent on, you have to stay the same way. You can't do this. You can't make somebody mad. You can't change your mind. But actually, you can change your mind. My mom, and maybe, I don't know if it's a Sagittarius thing. Maybe it is. Maybe it's not. Shout out to all my Sagittariuses in the his house.
Gang.
But my mom, it seems like, first of all, when you have 3 kids, don't say shit to me, period. Unless you have 3 kids, don't say nothing to me, because you absolutely don't understand what this world is like. You never will. And that's it. But I have to change. I have to shift a lot. And so my mom would always get on me and she'd be like, oh, here she go, change her mind again. Da, da, da. And I saw my sister starting to say it, right? And it used to bother me. And I finally had to stand up for myself and be like, yeah, I can change my mind. Things change. Life changes. All the things happen. We can do that. Nobody is locked into any one thing. Period. I don't care if it's a marriage. I don't give a god. The only thing I believe you're locked into is your children. I think when you decide to bring a human into the world, you are locked into that child. And this is no judgment on people who don't follow that path. But anything else, baby, every minute is a new minute to be you and to be new. So I decided to shift, just like I shifted Camp, right? Camp was a co-work space. We shifted. And I'm so happy that I made the change. I'm so happy that I decided to shift on being the solopreneur and getting a goddamn 9-to-5. You feel me? Like, we have to be able to accept and acknowledge when life is moving, because I believe God makes those things happen for a reason. You know what I'm saying? And so that's where we're here now. So the next shift, as I get into 2023, episode 101 to infinity, is really like locking in on contentment hacks. So if you listen to the show, you're noticing that every Wednesday I'm now releasing these bite-sized 5-minute episodes where I'm literally just telling you how to do something. And these ideas, it's, for the people who know me, I'm a wealth of knowledge, right? I'm always sharing, like, oh, do it like this. You can do this. You never done that. So I should be recording it. So all those 3 that you guys have heard, if you listen, well, it's 2. I've scheduled 3 and 4. Those, I just do them in my room. Like I go in my closet, I record my voice note. I don't even add an intro to it. It's like, hey, this is another content hack. It's because I want to, when you talk about content and we talk about mompreneurs, I want to be in that. I want to be in that because I have a freaking content studio. Like, that's a conversation. Content studios didn't exist like this before 2020, right? And I'm thankful that I've been able to help that change. So that's the shift. I don't think I'm going to change the logo again, although I'd be wanting to. Not going to change the logo. I think also in 2021, I was like shifting around and thinking about having different kinds of guests. So you heard a lot of men on the show in 2021. I just tried different things out. My focus for this year was consistency. Check. I know how to be consistent. I know how to create high level, high quality content. But through that, I also learned that I want to get back to my core. I want to get back to those women content creators, and I really want to niche. So if you've paid attention, I changed the show description, like teaching Black millennial mompreneurs how to create content to market their business and how to stay content while doing it. Super niche, but I think you got to start big. You have to start big and up here so that you can figure out what works and then bring it down. So I'm thankful I've been able to do that. It'll be 3 years. It doesn't feel like it. And I guess when people say when you love it, it doesn't feel like it. And I also remember saying at the beginning of 2021, brand partnership, I'm not focused on any of that anymore. I do know that I want this thing to pay for itself because I definitely have invested probably $15K, $20K in this year alone when I think about videographers and editing and my virtual assistant, Aileen. I wish she was here. She's in the Philippines. But it definitely costs money. But when I think about why I do this, obviously it's to put out this content, and I've said this on the show before, this is so that at this point, my kids will have 104, because it's technically 104 that I've loaded to Buzzsprout, actual things to listen to of their mom talking, of their grandmom, of their great grandma talking about what was happening in the world and what life meant, and mentioning them in shows and all the things. So that's really why I do it. Am I going to continue spending a bunch of money to make it happen? Probably not, because it's still a business. But I do believe when you're consistent and when you just keep getting better and when you niche down, I hope this is a nugget to somebody. When you're consistent, when you have high quality, you figure it out and you niche down, I swear it will all work out. It will all work out. Keep your reasoning top of mind. And that reasoning can shift. It can shift. It's okay. But you got to be in it for you. As I said, when I first started talking, this is for me. I don't do this for nobody else. I've had people say to me, "You're a little podcast." Ain't nobody thinking about that. I've had people say that shit to me. And it hurts. Like, it really hurts. But it's not going to stop me. It ain't going to stop me, because I forget it's a fable. It's like a little animal and she's making bread and she asked them to help knead the bread, and what is it? Yes. And she asked them to help do every step of the bread process. She be asking these niggas to help. And they be like, "Girl, no. Bye." Bye. I'm on Instagram. And then when that bread pop out, everybody want a piece. And I'm not saying I do it for that. I swear to God, I don't do it for that. But at the end of the day, that's what it is. Like, you stay down. You stay down until you up. And I don't think I'm not down. This is, you stay committed until you see the fruits of your labor. But the fruits, in my opinion, aren't always monetary. The fruits are just being able to record 100th episode with people that helped you get here. Like, that's very fruitful, in my opinion. The fruits are, like I said earlier, having 104 things that my kids can listen to. That's crazy. Imagine if your grandparents had 110 voice notes. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's wild. It would have been very wild to them. Like, it was not fathomably possible. But it's not that for us. We can do it. We literally can give them anything we want. And it's so important. And I also think it's important to figure out a way to take it off of Instagram, take it off of social, right? Because we don't know where those things will exist. I got a big old Dropbox folder with every file, external hard drive. Like, we really do have to own our stories. And you can't let somebody tell your own story. I think most people go through life allowing the world to dictate who they are. And that's dangerous, but I think that's the norm. I don't think the people in this room are like that. But yeah, we gotta think about it. And you see a lot of stuff like on Instagram and social media that makes you think that I'm different, I'm doing this, but at the core, why are we doing this? Any comments, questions? Because I could go on and on and on. Your girl been talking for 18 minutes. If not, I'll just continue with my rant. They will throw a commercial in there right there.
Hey guys, if you know that you are targeting the people that I talk to, these are mompreneurs, these are entrepreneurs, these are content creators, these are women, Black millennial moms who are owning their own businesses and using content to promote and also want to figure out ways to stay content, then you need to talk. We need to get it together, all right? So if you're interested, go to www.shadesofcontent.com/sponsor. Again, that's www.shadesofcontent.com/sponsor. I would love to work with you. We have a host of very affordable, if I may say, partner packages. We can do only audio. We can do audio and video. We can really customize packages that work the best to speak to your customer. So yeah, let's make this work. We got all of 2023 coming up, and I really want to use the platform to help other small businesses grow. So go to www.shadesofcontent.com/sponsor. I can't wait to work with you. There's also a link in the show notes.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about what this. Have any of you guys ever been to a live podcast recording? Really? Look at. So I've been to a couple as I've like gone and really just tried to understand what this world looks like. I've been to like a couple real, like not real ones. This is a real one. A couple of more larger scale. There you go. And I've loved them. And they typically do the whole show, but it's just in front of an audience. And it's just, I love Cocktails, Dirty Discussions, in my opinion, had the best live show. I've seen Poor Minds. I've seen Good Girls, Bad Choices. I've never seen Social Proof, but one day I'll get down to Atlanta. Cocktails was the best. And so when you go to see these shows that you know they're making money, they're doing all the things, you say, oh, I'm going to do a live show. And I don't got to pay for a venue because I got my own spot, but we gonna make this thing happen. So I think if I release this on YouTube, I'll show the Google Doc of the plan. The plan was intense, okay? I was going to have a huge backdrop created with fluorescent sign for the logo, like pompous, and I mean, it was going to be intense, okay? And then I got the invoice and it was $5,000. I said, but you lying. Ain't no way. Flowers. You know what I'm saying? And so I was like, well, what about just what about the sign? I was going to put the sign on the greenery wall. And they was like, no, we're all or nothing. I said, okay. And I get it. When she said that, I went to bed and I woke up and God was like, girl, you bugging. You don't got to do all that. You don't got to go into debt for an Instagram picture, because that's all it was for. It was literally for us to take some Instagram pictures. I obviously recorded. I didn't even talk about the cost to record it, the cost to document it on social media, the cost for an outfit. I did pay for my makeup. Just these running costs that I don't know if I would have cared about. 2 months ago, I would have ran that shit up, put it right on that Amex. But I was like, no. We're not doing this. We're going to scale it back. And I honestly thought about canceling this. I did. This is how initially I thought the week was going to go. Today, the 29th, I was going to record. Today, this huge, I was going to get a liquor partner. They never responded. All good. And then I was going to fly to Miami for Art Basel. And that would have been my birthday celebration, because it's always around birthday. Fly to Art Basel, book a pier space. I already found it. And in me planning this, I had noticed, I remember I said, put a pin in Rico Love. Hopefully he'll hear this. He follows me on Instagram, whatever. But he like engages with my content. Y'all know who Rico Love is? Producer. They don't know. They don't. Very, very talented. He's also a Sagittarius. So to make sure I put that out there. You and him, Ty, y'all had the same birthday, December 3rd.
That's tough.
That part. And so I was like, Patrice, shoot your freaking shot. It's not really a shot, but so I just DM'd him like, hey, I have a show. I added it. I sent him, I think, the link for Tobias's interview. I'll be in Miami for Art Basel because I know that's where he lives. Would love to have you on the show. And he was like, all right, I'm cool. I'm with it. What's the details? I said, what? I didn't think, what the what? Like, Reese is that easy? And so now I'm like, oh, bet I'm actually about to interview somebody that's like very well known and can like get this thing popping. So I'm like, all right, we're going to go to Miami on Thursday. We're going to be there Friday. We're going to book the flight because I had a flight credit. I had a flight credit through my credit card, my Capital One business credit card. If you haven't heard the commercial, you will hear it at some point in this episode. Okay. I want to talk to you guys quickly about business credit. I know that you probably, if you're into like the social media sphere, if you're listening to like shows like Social Proof, like that whole Atlanta entrepreneur movement, or even if like, honestly, if you just tapped in, all you be hearing about is business credit, how people can fix your credit and do all the things. I'm going to disclaim it with this. I am not about to do that. But I am about to give you a really quick story about how I've been able to use business credit for my business. So I've spent like the last year and a half trying to get my credit up. Like getting in the 700s was really something that was important to me. And I personally was not applying to anything. But I spent a lot of time, again, like 2.5 years trying to like raise my credit score, and I was very proud of that. Doing that, I was afraid to also apply for business credit. So one day, I think I might have been talking to my accountant, and he was like, just apply for the business credit card, Patrice. It's not going to hurt you. So I did it, and I was able to get 2 business credit cards, a Capital One Visa and an American Express Platinum. And I didn't realize why people were talking about business credit. I didn't realize why people were doing it. I kind of just thought it was y'all just trying to get this money. But actually, these things have been very helpful with me running my business. So the way I do it is I use my Capital One card to pay for all of the business's monthly expenses, the things that I know I got to pay for. Put it all on the card. At the end of the billing period, I just pay it off. Right. So if you guys have been on the fence about whether or not you want to apply for a business credit card, you do have to have good personal credit. I think sometimes people think they can apply for these business credit cards and it does not factor in your personal credit. It does. They're going to ask for your EIN number, but they're also going to ask for your personal information, which includes your social. So you definitely want to have your ducks in a row and make sure you got your personal stuff together for a higher chance of getting approved. Also, I am not a financial advisor. I'm none of those things. I'm just telling you my personal experience. But if you're on the fence, I would suggest doing it so that it can free up some of your funds, your actual liquid cash, and you can have some more flexibility, right, to do what you need to do. I also feel like, and I know interest rates, again, I'm not the professional. I don't know any of that stuff. Of course, the credit card interest rate is going to be a lot higher than a loan, but loans are really hard to get. And again, if you have a system and a strategy for paying off the debt, you know, you'll be fine. If you're interested in applying to a Capital One card, there are links in the show notes. I don't got nothing to do if you get approved or not. Don't come at me, man. This shit don't work out. Not my problem. I'm just giving you the resources. Okay, so I just wanted to make sure I shared that with you all. Again, links to the Capital One business card are in the show notes. Points on points on points. I got a whole free flight. I got free flights for paying my bills, y'all. Get you business credit. Anyway, so I'm ready. I also hadn't told my husband my master plan. If you know me, I wait till the last minute to tell people stuff. That's not a good thing. I'm working on it. I had to leave a meeting early today, and I could have sent a text message. I could have. Maybe you. Right? But anybody that I feel like has to like give the okay, I don't tell them, because in my mind, I'm always thinking they're going to say something negative. So I just rather wait until they can't say nothing. And I'm like, oh yeah, I'm doing this. I just realized that. Yeah. Ask for forgiveness. Exactly. Don't I say all the time? So I hadn't told him, and then his aunt passed away. And I'm like, oh. The funeral is in Tampa. It's this weekend. So initially I was like, nah, we still gonna make this happen. I'm gonna go to Miami on Friday. I'm gonna record, and I'm gonna fly to Tampa, and I'm gonna go to the funeral, and I'm gonna come back. And then as we're getting closer to the day, it's just like, this is too much. Like, this is too much. And so I was at a crossroads, like, you know, how do I, because a part of you feels like you're not making it happen. But then the other part of you is like, girl, you about to go crazy trying to make this happen. And I think there's this very delicate balance of doing all you can and knowing you gave it the best and going hard and understanding when it's not in alignment with what you're supposed to be doing. And I'll say that anything with this show has 100% been in alignment with what I am supposed to do. And so we're here now. I didn't cancel, but I scaled it back. I sent y'all a message today like, this ain't fancy. Bring a bottle. It ain't being catered. I ordered this busboys. Like, low key. I texted you a couple weeks ago, like, yeah, we got to scale this thing all the way back, right? And because it's like, yes, the quality gonna be there because it's Ty. That ain't even a question. But it doesn't have to be. Everything don't gotta be grandiose. It's just one step, right? So with that, things are going to shift. Things are going to change. You absolutely can feel what you're supposed to be doing. And I think we fight alignment so much. Shout out to Tiffany Jones. She's an alignment coach that I worked with earlier this month in April. You know what you're supposed to be doing. And so I challenge you all. And if anybody wants to get on the mic and share it, I think we're all in a space, or we have been in a space where we're like in between two things. And it's like, if we do one thing, it might mean we made the right choice, or it's about to blow our shit up, or this is what everybody says you're supposed to do. And then maybe the other thing is, this honestly feels like it's better. Maybe it's safer. Maybe it's less work. Maybe it's more work. I don't know. Who knows? Because they also tell us you got to work your ass off to be successful. You don't. You don't. You have to be smart. You have to have relationships, and you have to be a good person. Yeah, you're going to work hard, but if you're doing the right thing, whether it's for your employer or not, like, I'll be very honest with you all. I was so scared about having this full-time job. Even though I go to the church, even though I know some of the people, I was scared, like cried the first week twice. But now that I'm in it, like, I love it, because this is what God literally orchestrated this whole thing, like, but when I was sitting in church and I seen that job opportunity, I could have been like, I'm not applying to that. I'm not working for nobody else. I really could have did that, and Danny wouldn't be here right now. And we might not be doing this because I wouldn't have had no goddamn money. You feel me? That pay, listen, a full-time check hit different if you ain't had one in 5 years. So, yeah, it's just like, we know the things. Forget what the world is telling you, because, the world is, I don't like saying the world is messed up. I don't like saying that. There's a lot of forces happening. It's strange. It's wild. Wild is a 2022 word. Wild. I love it. But the whole time we've been saying he a wild boy for years. He a wild boy. He a wild boy. And so I again, it's just, you guys really think about, if you're listening to this, if you're watching this, because it's still recording, really challenge yourself. And maybe it's not even challenging yourself. Maybe it's just being real with yourself. Is this it? Is this not it as in the end, but is this what I'm supposed to be doing? And we know the issue, the fact of the matter is we know. And that's, I think, why we be so hesitant, because we just don't want to go with it. We don't want to flow with it. But I swear to gosh, when you do that, life is just so much easier. And that's in your personal relationships. I'll mention my husband. I'm seeing that. I think it's older. I did not want to listen to that man, because I'm like, you don't know. You're not a creative. You But the fact is, he's a consumer. This nigga watch YouTube all the time. Like, he is a consumer, and he watches money. So he might not be coming from the creative space, but I don't need somebody to come from the creative space. In actuality, I need the other side of it. And when I was able to, and we first had to talk about it, our CEO said this today: it's not what you say, it's how you say it. So when you come at somebody shady, they're not going to listen to you. Me and my husband had this conversation while we were at the Salamander for his birthday. And, it's just a matter of, it's not that I don't want to listen to you. It's just, I want you to respect what I'm doing and come at me, communicate the right way. Right. But I had to tell him that first. So, I just, not to beat a dead horse, but we just really have to start tapping in. And as cliche as that sounds, rest in peace to Nipsey, like, what you're supposed to do. When I had COVID, I talked about it a little bit on the show a month ago. November 1st was when I was figured out I had a rest in peace takeoff. When I was down for those 8 days, not down as in sad, but like not having to pick up kids, do anything, go anywhere. Thank you, God, for that. Thank you, God. I needed that. Sitting down in that quiet space. I think COVID hit me. I was sad about it one time, because I missed my kids. And so I just started crying. I have it all on video. I'll release a vlog at some point. But this is when the content hacks came to me. And this is when having a course for opening a content, all this stuff came to me. I went to bed. I think I talked about it on the show. I don't remember. I rarely listen back. I only listen back if I have to prepare for something. So most of the episodes I don't watch. I don't listen. It's fine. I don't care. Whatever. It's not for me. It's for y'all. I've already created it. But it's just, God was like downloading all this stuff to me. And I'm like, holy crap. All I needed to do was quiet the noise and listen. So like, how often are you doing that? Like, I'm not saying how often are you getting COVID, but how often are you sitting peacefully without all the demands and the stress of your life, including Instagram and TikTok, and just hearing what he's saying to you? Because the only way you're going to know what's for you, and the only way you're going to know if the people that are coming in your life are the right people, is if you're hearing that. And I would imagine most people ain't doing that. Not because they don't want to, but because how do you, when you got to pay the bills and you got to take them kids to school, when you got to answer your job email. So that's when we get into the content conversation. Because if content is not being happy all the time, content is being at peace through every shift. You can be stressed out. You can have gone through a death. You can have, I don't know, have no money, but it's not barring any other mental things that are happening, right? We're not talking about that. We're just talking about general, everyday. It's not impacting your thought process and your outlook on life. Because shit gonna happen. Kids ain't gonna listen. Money gonna be funny. You're not going to get the promotion. You're going to gain 20 pounds. Like, things are going to happen. But how do you get back to that place? Right? Because sometimes you are going to get out of it. But what do you do? And so when I talk in this show about my momcations and going away, that's why I do it. It ain't so I could be in Miami. It ain't that. It's just so I could have quiet time. Because when you have 3 kids, it's hard to have quiet time. I can't even get my makeup. I used to be able to get my makeup done and be like zen. Now when I get my makeup done, I'm like, no, I have to stop 7 times because Parker want to go find toothpaste and eat it out the tube. Like, it's like, so I have to make those moments of contentment. And typically in the content moments, quiet moments is when the things are being brought to me. And I would assume the way people are nodding their heads, that is what happens here, right? So a lot of us, we just have to be able to see it and acknowledge it. Another thing I talked about in a past episode is I have a note in my phone called God Talk. And the reason why I created this note is because I'm a creative person and I have ideas constantly. I always have ideas, and I don't know. It is what it is. Oh, that's right. Tobias just sent me pictures. He's in he's doing yeah. And he mentioned it the other day. But yeah, so I have a note in my phone, and I have 2 notes in my phone. And I'm going to hack. This will be a hack, so you're going to hear it again. But one of them is called God Talk. And this is literally just a list of anything that God tells me that I can't implement immediately. The reason why I do this is because it was given to me for a reason. Maybe not the season for it, maybe not the time, but at some point it will probably come back around. One of the things on here is the Mompreneur Mastermind. I have been, like I told y'all, I have been thinking about it for a couple months. When I did it, it was the time to do it. Some other things on here, real ideas, a facelift for the page, promo videos, a kids book that I want to write for my kids. So yeah, I have that, the God Talk. But then also I have the daily today's target. And every day, 11:29, 11:28, I pick like 3 to 5 things that I have to get done that day. It could be picking out an outfit for SOC. It could be calling the orthodontist, which I didn't do. It could be making my son's physical appointment, which I didn't do. But it's here. And if it's a target for the day, that means it's important. And let's at least get that done first. So then we can maybe have some time to talk about the God Talk stuff. Who knows? But I say that to say we really have to be super strategic with our life and how we spend our time. That's the one thing we don't get back. Right? Like, time is, and as I'm approaching 40 in a year, and I'm like, wait, I still feel 25. Now I see how my parents, now I get it. Now I get it. And I wouldn't do anything differently, I don't think. But when you know that you might be closer to the other side than that first side, you just move a little different. And so to all my 25, 26-year-olds, I think that's also the beauty of this space that we live in now. And it's a gift and a curse, I think, in my opinion. You have everything that's accessible to you, so you know the possibilities and you can go get it. But then, no bull, there's a makeup company called Topicals. The founder is a black woman. She's 25. She's young. She posted on Instagram. I was just on her page, intrigued. And she was like, 2 years ago, I was talking to my therapist, just wondering what was left for me. I felt like I hadn't accomplished anything. Ma'am? At 23? She was 23 at the time. At 23, I was pregnant, a teacher. Like, what? Let me have this baby so I can go to the club. So to see that this young woman who is clearly a different beast, right? She's a different person just because of what she's been able to build. But I don't think her thoughts are different from other people her age. And that's interesting to me. That's interesting to me because on the flip side, this generation has also been desensitized to death because it's just happening and it's visual. People gonna die forever. But when you can turn on your phone and see someone die, that's wild. That wild is not the right word. That's despicable. That's heinous. And I remember when Takeoff passed. I remember when XX when he passed, RJ was crying. Like, he was very emotional, but he was younger. He's a young man now. But when I asked him about, like, when P&B Rock passed, when Takeoff passed, he was like, yeah. And I don't know if it's because he's just older and, his emotions are different as a young man, or if it's just because he's used to seeing it. And that's crazy.
All right, now, y'all, don't forget to connect with Shades of Content on Instagram at Shades of Content, and with me, Patrice Camo, at Patrice Camo. And also be sure to rate this show, leave a review, and subscribe, because that's actually the only way that we're going to grow. I'll see you next week.